Dear students, as we completed bridge course, in bridge course, some of the fundamental concepts that you had studied in the previous classes are discussed over here, and even some of those chapters which are there for POC1, the same chapters I have discussed in bridge course. And today we will start with syllabus now. So there are totally 22 chapters are there in POC1, and all those 22 chapters have been divided into 5 units. The first unit is diversity in living world, right? Under that there are 4 chapters that we come across. One is living world, second one is biological classification, third one is plant kingdom, and fourth one is animal kingdom, right? So these are the chapters we are going to study one by one, right? So the first chapter is living world. It is coming under diversity of living world, right? So diversity in the sense that is nothing but diversity, that is different varieties. Varieties of what? Different varieties of living organisms, right? So varieties of living organisms which are existing on this earth in the first class, I had mentioned 5 to 30 million varieties of species of organisms are existing on this earth. It has been very clearly said to you all that many varieties of living organisms are there around us, and all those organisms together called as biodiversity, right? So biodiversity. Bio means biological entities. I have already mentioned that biological entities are nothing but living organisms. Diversity, spreading of all those living organisms on this earth itself is said to be as biodiversity. So how to define this term? So varieties and variabilities of a life on this earth is said to be as biodiversity. It means varieties, different varieties of organisms are living on this earth. So those varieties may be microbes. Varieties of plenty number of microbes are there around us. Along with this one, varieties of animals are there. Varieties of plants are there on this earth, right? So microbes are there, animals are there, plants are there. All these varieties of organisms, living substances which are existing on this earth all together called as what? Biodiversity, right? So this biodiversity itself is very wonderful, right? You know, so when you go on tour, that moment when you enter in one forest area, that moment you will come to know varieties of plants as well as animals along with microbes. But microbes are invisible to our eyes. But imagine yourself, plenty number of microbes are there around us. Along with that one, varieties of animals will be there in the forest. Varieties of plants will be there in the forest, and all of themselves are so being very wonderful, and they are aesthetic in nature, right? So they have their own aesthetic value, right? So this kind of microbes, animals as well as plants, when we see, some of themselves are very wonderful. Say for example, chameleon is there. It changes its skin color, so according to the background color. That is called, what we call it as camouflage, right? So that kind of wonders are there around us in this nature, right? So these animals as well as plants interact among themselves. Say for example, animals feed on plants, right? So plants utilize the minerals from dead bodies of animals, right? When animals die, that moment the degradation that takes place by microbes, after the degradation all the minerals present in the dead bodies of animals, they act mingles with the soil, and those minerals are absorbed by the plants. This kind of interaction will be there, right? That's why each and every species which is existing on this earth must be there with us. We should not lose any kind of a species, right? Why? Because so we are all interdependent, means so all those organisms on which we are depending upon, right? So many of the functions have been done by microbes which are so useful for human welfare, right? So in one chapter completely we study in what way microbes are so much useful to the human being, right? So that way these are very important. That's why biodiversity is very important. But unfortunately we are losing some species of organisms, right? So they are getting extinct, right? This is a problematic thing for this world. So we should not lose even a single species. Why? Because interdependence of ourselves is also there with a many number of microbes as well as all other organisms, right? So along with this one, not only these living organisms are there around us, apart from this one, non-living substances, they are said to be as abiotic. So substances are also there with us, right? Or factors are also there with us. So soil is one of the abiotic factor, air is another one, water is another one, right? There is an interaction between animals, plants, all these microbes along with these abiotic factors also, right? So without breathing, we breathe air, right? Without air we cannot survive. Many number of organisms without air they cannot survive. In the same way, without water we cannot survive. Hence water is said to be as elixir of life, right? It is too essential for living organisms. That way interaction between these two that take place, right? That's why essentiality of abiotic factor is also there with us, right? Totally. So now we'll come to the living world. So all these microbes, animals, plants, all these are together called as the living world. It is a world of living organisms. It's a world of living organisms. Right? Then what do you mean by living or life? The question arises with us. What do you mean by life? I shall write here one definition. We can define this life term, life. What do you mean by life? It is defined as a unique, complex, components of chemicals, right? Unique complex components of chemicals which express themselves by chemical reaction which leads to some of the functions like growth, development, responsiveness, and reproduction. It's called as life. Life is nothing but, it is defined as unique, complex composition of chemical components. So it is a composition of chemical components which can express themselves by chemical reaction. They express themselves through some of the chemical reaction what they perform, and those chemical reactions leads to growth that occurs in the living organisms, development that occurs in the living organisms. Responsiveness that occurs in the living organisms, response to the stimulus. If anybody touches you, then you feel it. You feel that touch, right? If you are kept in very cold area, you feel very cold. So if it is hot, you feel very hot. So that kind of responsiveness as well as reproduction. These are all functions it leads to, and that is called as what? Life. It is called as life, right? So now you came to know what is life. Then how do you say living organisms have life? Say for example, we the human being are living organisms, we call it as. How do you say? We are all living because of some of the characteristic features. Because of some of the characteristic features, we are said to be as a living organisms. So some others do not have any life. Say for example, table, chairs, all these do not have any life. So because of their characteristic feature, we say they are non-living one, we are living one. Then what are those characteristic features? Right? Many number of characteristic features are there for living organisms. So some of them, sirs, we'll discuss one by one. The first one is metabolism. First one is metabolism. Metabolism is nothing but total number of chemical reactions, biochemical reactions what are taking place inside the body, all together named as metabolism, right? Total biochemical reactions taking place inside the body of living organisms is called as metabolism. Varieties of chemical reactions that take place inside our body, right? So all those chemical reactions, so during digestion, varieties of chemical reactions that take place, right? So breakdown of the food material, larger food material into simpler food material. Many number of enzymes would help in breaking down of all those larger food molecules into simpler one. Say for example, proteins are divided into amino acids, right? Carbohydrates, that is polysugars, are divided into monosugars, monosaccharides. That way, so during all these chemical reactions, so enzymes are so useful, they play very important role, right? And all those set of chemical reactions that are taking place inside the body are together called as metabolism. And such kind of metabolism has two types. One is catabolism. One is catabolism. Catabolism is a kind of metabolism in which larger molecules are broken down into simpler one, and that kind of metabolism is called as catabolism, right? Breakdown of larger molecules into simpler ones called as catabolism. Say for example, digestion of food is very important example for this one, or else you may take the example of breakdown of glucose. This occurs during cellular respiration. As a result of cellular respiration, in presence of oxygen, the breakdown of glucose molecule that take place. So here glucose is divisible into simpler molecules, right? So this is one best example for catabolism. And second type of metabolism is anabolism. Second type is anabolism. What do you mean by anabolism? Here it is a reversible process of catabolism. So anabolism here, simpler molecules gather themselves to form a very complex molecule. That kind of chemical reactions altogether called as anabolism. Here simpler molecules together form complex molecules. Simpler molecules react among themselves so as to give rise to complex molecule, and such kind of chemical reactions or such kind of metabolism is called as anabolism. Example for this one is photosynthesis, right? Photosynthesis ದ್ವಿತೀಯ ಸಂಶ್ಲೇಷಣ ಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಈ ಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ utilization of water take place as well as carbon dioxide take place so as to synthesize glucose material, right? So this is simpler molecules together form complex molecule. This is best example for anabolism. These are the two types of metabolism that we come across. Metabolism always take place inside the living organisms. It doesn't inside the non-living one. So that's why metabolism itself is the first characteristic feature of all the living organisms, right? Apart from this one, very important point to be noted over here, that is note. If the same kind of chemical reactions, if they are taking place outside the body of organisms, if chemical reactions are taking place outside the body of the organisms, and such kind of chemical reactions are neither considered as living one nor considered as non-living one. So say for example in test tube, in chemistry laboratory, we conduct many number of chemical reactions where simpler molecules react each other so as to form a very complex compound there. And so even complex compound is broken down into simpler one. Anabolism, catabolism reactions, of course they are taking place inside the test tube. They are not at all considered as living systems or non-living systems, like that. Right? That note should be there with you. If chemical reactions taking place outside or inside, outside the living organisms is neither considered as living or non-living. This note is very important one, right? So totally we came to know what is metabolism, what are the types of metabolism, and metabolism is one of the characteristic feature of living organisms. Yes, second characteristic feature of living organisms is growth. Growth is nothing but it is one of the irreversible physiological process that occurs in living organisms, in which an increase in mass or size of the organism that take place, that is called as what? Growth. Growth, it is an irreversible physiological process in which an increase in the size or mass or number of cells takes place is called as growth. It is a physiological process that occurs in living organisms, in which an increase in size, mass or a number of cells that take place, right? That is called as growth. So growth occurs in living organisms due to the synthesis of two types of substances. Two types of substances are synthesized, as a result of which this growth occurs in organisms. One is cytoplasmic substance. Cytoplasmic substance is responsible for increase in the size of the cell or increase in the size of the body of the organism. Example for this one is cytoplasm and nucleus, right? So, or this is called as, this is not cytoplasmic, it is protoplasmic. Protoplasmic substance. So that is cytoplasm as well as nucleus, right? So this is one factor, and the second factor is apoplasmic substances. Apoplasmic substances are those substances which are synthesized by the cells and which help in production of or which help in making the constituents of the tissues. Example for this one is fibers of connective tissue. Fibers of connective tissue. So these are the constitution of connective tissue, right? Even the matrix of bone marrow, right, or the matrix of cartilaginous tissue, these are the apoplasmic substances. Due to the synthesis of these two types of substances, increase in the size of the body of organism that takes place, and growth occurs by first one is cell division. When number of cells increases by cell division, that moment increase in the size of the body of organisms that take place, and cell differentiation, change in the shape of the cell or enlargement of the cell that take place. So, right, and that is also responsible for increase in the size of the organism. Along with this one, morphogenesis. What do you mean by morphogenesis? The word itself says morpho means morphological characters or morphological structures. Externally, so seen by external characteristic feature of the organisms are morphological characters. Genesis means production of morphological characters or morphological structures. So that is morphogenesis, cell differentiation as well as cell division. These are the three functions which leads to growth or increase in the size of the body of organisms. And in case of animals, growth is said to be as a determinant. Means, so it is restricted or growth occurs in animals up to certain age. Growth occurs in animals up to certain age. Afterwards, the growth that stops. If there are any injury on the body, of the matured organism, then replacement of those dead cells take place by cell division itself. As a result of cell division, new cells are formed and it replaces the dead cells, right? That is regeneration, what we call it as, right? So in animals, usually growth occurs in animals up to a certain age. Afterwards, it stops. That's why it is said as determinate, right? So growth is determined over here. And in unicellular organisms or in animals like amoeba, bacteria, so growth occurs by cell division, right here. And the next one, in case of plants, right? In plants, growth is said to be as indeterminate. Why it is indeterminate? Because of the presence of one of the tissue responsible for growth of the plants. And that tissue you are so familiar with, that is meristem. Meristem is the tissue in which all the cells are immature and they are always in state of continuous division. When they are in a state of continuous division, growth always take place in plants during the lifetime of those plants. So that's why it is said as indeterminate in plants, right? And growth in these animals as well as plants, it occurs from within. Hence that kind of growth is said as intrinsic growth, right? In plants as well as in plants and animals, growth is intrinsic. Growth is intrinsic, right? In plants as well as animals. And growth occurs even in non-living substances also, right? Non-living substances also grow. Best example for this one is mounds of soil or sand. Mounds of sand, right? And mountains. So are the best example. Here what happens in this case? So usually the accumulation of sand molecules take place, right, on one surface, that leads to formation of one mound of the sand mound. That is increase in the size of sand molecules that take place due to the accumulation of sand molecules, right? So this is best example over here. What it shows? So here growth occurs in non-living substances also, right? Growth not only occurs in living substances or living organisms, but also occurring in non-living organisms, right? But it is not the actual growth. And this kind of growth is said to be as extrinsic growth. And this kind of growth that occurs in sand, so extrinsic growth, it is called as, right? So there are two types of growth. One is intrinsic growth and this is the extrinsic growth that occurs in living as well as non-living substances, right? And the next characteristic feature is reproduction. Third characteristic feature is reproduction. As we have studied in the previous classes even, and in bridge course also, what is reproduction, we know it better. Living organisms have the ability to produce their young ones, right, of their own kind. is called as reproduction. It is the ability of all living organisms to produce their young one of their own kind is called as reproduction. Right? All the living organisms, they give birth to their young ones. Some of the animals already we have discussed. Some of the animals are egg layers. So hatches into young one. And some other animals like mammals, unique feature of mammals, they give birth to young ones directly, right? So that any one of the way reproduction occurs in living organisms, non-living substances do not, right? So reproduction, and this reproduction takes place by any one of the method. There are different methods of reproduction are there. One is called as asexual type of reproduction, and the second one is sexual type of reproduction. Already I have mentioned the definition for asexual type as well as sexual type of reproduction. Asexual type of reproduction is the type of reproduction in which formation and fusion of gametes do not take place. In the same way, sexual type of reproduction is a type of reproduction in which formation and fusion of male and female gametes take place to form zygote. Zygote develops into new individual. This type of reproduction is called as sexual type of reproduction. In any one of the methods, the living organisms reproduce their young ones. And there are varieties of asexual type of reproduction that we have already discussed in the previous classes. One is sporulation. Second one is gemule formation. So that takes place in some of the aquatic sponges, right? Sporulation occurs in some of the spore producing organisms, right? And fragmentation, the body is divisible into several pieces and each piece can grow into new individual. This is also one type of asexual reproduction. And the next one is binary fission. A single cell divides into two equal sized cells, right? Binary fission usually occurs in unicellular organisms, right? Already we have discussed. These are different types of asexual type of reproduction, right? In the sexual type of reproduction, usually formation of male and female gametes take place from the respective structures, male sex organ and female sex organ, and those sex cells or gametes fuse each other so as to form zygote, and zygote develops into new individual. Example for human being, right? This is sperm and this is egg cell. Both of themselves fuse each other to form zygote with a thick wall, and this zygote that develops into new individual. This is zygote, right? So this is how the reproduction that occurs in organisms, right? Sexual type of reproduction it is. This is also one of the important features of living organisms. Remaining characteristic features we'll see in the next video. Thank you.